How's everybody doing tonight? So, day 25 of the wood trick Dragon Castle. When we wrapped up yesterday, we had it all together in one piece. I think the last thing we did was these torches. Does that sound right? I think so. I think maybe I didn't do them correctly. Like these two are both going to center, these two are both going right. The ones in the back are both going right. The ones in the front are both like pointing towards the middle. They're probably maybe all four should go the same way, which this is the only one going a different way. So I could like spin that. I don't know if it matters. I'm gonna scroll back and see if the instructions. Yeah, the instructions had all four going the same way, and in fact, just to show you, there's the instructions. All four going the same way. And in fact, it's the way I have them going, with the exception of this one that's different. I don't know if I'll change it. I don't think it really matters. Yesterday we finished 3 boards. Oh, the boards. I didn't get them out of the box yet. Hold on a second while I grab the boards. So there were originally 11 boards. We finished 2 boards on the first 23 days. Then on day 24, for some reason, we finished 3 boards. So now there's 6 boards left. So we finished 5. There's 6 left. But the ones that are left, like this board has 2 pieces in it. This board may also have 2 pieces in it. Yeah, so there's only 4 pieces in these first 2 boards. But this next board is pretty full. Let's see here. Like half full, the one after that. This one is loaded. So there may, and this one is loaded. And it's loaded with tiny pieces, so we still have a significant amount to go. I mean, we still have 6 of the 11 boards, and 2 are almost empty, but one's half full, and 3 are, have a significant amount to go. So we're not finishing tonight. I don't know when we're gonna finish, but it's not gonna be tonight. All right. Not that it's a speed contest. All right, page 46. Looks like we didn't actually start page 46 yet. It's just kind of there waiting for us. It looks like they're going to use this piece. We have a piece that sometimes pieces fall out and they're like sitting there, and it looks like they're going to use this piece. So this was the only piece like sitting over here. Had fallen out prematurely. Looks like they're about to use it. But that's not the first thing up. The first thing is, I don't know, what is this? This is a banner. 2 303s, a 326, and 330. Yeah, this is a banner. So what's that, 4 pieces? So that brings us from 687 to 691. So 303, 330, and 326. So let's quickly look through our boards. They're going to end up in reverse order. Yeah. We're done. We're going to be done with the board. 330 right here. There's 2 330s. That's the only thing left on this board. I'm pretty sure this is a ×2 situation, because if you look here, there's 2 of them. I don't know why, where the second one's coming from. It doesn't say ×2, but obviously it is a ×2. So we have to count 4 more pieces. So now we're up to 695 pieces. And we're about to be done with board 7, because as soon as I pop out these 2 330s, then board 7 is done. I didn't count this piece yet, so I'll leave it over there for a second. All right, now board 7. So how about that? So if we'd have went 1 panel further, we would have finished 4 of the 11 boards on episode 24. because we just finished a board now on episode 25. Like what's going on? We're finishing all the boards all of a sudden. All right. We're still looking for those banners. Is it possible they're on the first page? No, 252 was on the first page. All right, so 303 and 326. So I guess we're looking for like 4 303s. Just grabbing some tools here. Oh, that top camera is a little twisted, huh? You can't really tell. But look at this book. That camera's twisted. Alright. Is that better or worse? I'm not sure. I might have made it worse, but whatever it is, that's what it now is. And now, the reason I was reaching across the table is I was getting a sandpaper to get rid of the splinters. Alright, now we gotta continue looking for 303 and 326. I don't see either of them on board 7. This next board, board 9, looks like it has, yeah, there's 2 326s right here. If I can get them out. Alright, those are the actual banners. Of course they're wood like everything else in this puzzle, but they're meant to represent the banners. They have some pretty good ink on them. What is that supposed to be? Is that another dragon? So it's a dragon and 2 swords. Yeah, it's a dragon. Alright, we're still looking for the sort of pins, which are 303s. Just based on the numbers, like here's 304. Yeah, there's 303. I was thinking they have to be here. Just the numbers seem about right. I'm mixing up the order of the boards, but I don't care at this point. Alright, let's get our 4 303s so we can get to work. They're not popping out, by the way. They're making like crackling sounds, but they're not actually popping out. I might be just breaking these pieces. Wow. Okay, got them. All right, how do we do this? All right, the side with the holes goes on top. That's where these like F-shaped pieces are going to go. So we put an F piece, F-shaped piece. These pieces look like Fs, do they not? Looks like an F to me. So we put like one on each side of this piece. And then we push them in there. Oh, doing good. All right. Thank you. Well, who's doing good? I'm doing good or you're doing good? I think we're both doing good. All right, so let's get this banner in here. All right. That's it. That's the banner. Doesn't really move much, but, you know, in the fictional world of the wood trick dragon castle, that's a banner. Does that really look like a banner to you? That's a banner. Well, you know, it's good that Nick showed up in the chat because I was thinking about this today, that I want to have at least one thing that I mention in each show. And what I was thinking for today to mention, I'll stick with it. It's like sort of, Nick showing up made me think, like, do I want to mention this? Because it might be a little crazy. It's a little crazy in its implications, but it's a perfectly normal story. So basically, I was thinking a lot of the stories that I tell, or a lot of like information that I have, whether it's facts or just baloney. All right, I'm going to get to it in a minute, but I want to mention regarding the building here. Let's go back to the manual for a second. So we need 2 more pieces that are 3/16, and then we need another piece. Actually, we're not going to go to the center yet. Over here, there's something, and I think we got to do that first. And in fact, I think 350, 335, and then 2 333s. This might be piece 350. It like fell out. Let's find the space for 350. So 350, 335, and 2 333s. That's 4 pieces. So now we're up to 699 pieces. So the next piece will be 700. And we're going up to 978. So we have a lot to go. So what I was thinking is, when I was a kid, I got some information. One of the people who would share information was a teacher. That's like obvious, right? Like, of course, a teacher would give you information. So that teacher was my 3rd grade teacher, Miss Martin. And the other person he would give the information in the form of, I don't know if idioms or adages. I don't know what's the right word of it. You know when someone says like a stitch in time saves 9 or something like that. That was, anyway, my mom's father. So my grandfather, my mom's father, he would say a lot of those things. Like, so they gave totally different types of information. My grandfather would give these adages that are supposed to make you more prepared for life. Like, a penny saved is a penny earned. I mean, he didn't invent it. I think Ben Franklin or somebody like that invented that phrase, that Poor Richard's Almanac. Here's the 333 is over here. So I think the penny saved is a penny earned. I think that came from Ben Franklin, but my grandfather recognized the value of it, so he said it. Now that's not the piece of information for today. I'll do that some other day. So, maybe that should be the piece. You know what? I'm going to go with the Miss Martin one, because I was thinking it's kind of controversial, but I'm going to go with it just to establish that's, the kind of stuff, not the only kind of stuff. We'll bring up normal stuff, but we'll also bring up crazy stuff. So here, the reason why this is crazy is it's going to have dots to connect that aren't really connected, but I'm going to say them anyway. So this was 3rd grade, so that means it was like 40 years ago, or maybe 40 plus years ago. And Miss Martin told a story about, I don't know where she heard the story, I don't remember the details, but it was soldiers in a war. And something about the situation they were in, I think it was Vietnam, and the Vietnamese were all over the area, and the soldiers were hiding under a trunk, and they thought for sure they would be found, and they were going to be overpowered and killed or something like that. And they prayed, and when they prayed, they had a vision, like beyond a vision, like they felt like it was real. Mary, do you know from the Bible, Mary, like the mother of Jesus? They felt the presence of Mary, and that she was using a cloak, but it was like an oversized cloak, and it like covered the whole truck, And, in the opinion of these soldiers, something that was, seemingly in their imagination created a soundproof and vision proof. I sort of gave it away by calling it a cloak. I don't know what you call it, like those capes, like those like one-piece outfits that people wore before shirts and pants were invented. I mean, maybe cloak is the word. Anyway, this is piece 335. I actually didn't look. Yeah, okay. It did say piece 335. I just grabbed it based on look. It's a very unique looking piece, as you'll see here. And it's kind of like what we were just talking about. Like these guys are wearing cloaks. They're maybe not exactly like Mary's because these ones have like arms. These cloaks have arms, and I think Mary's is just like a shawl. I'd have to look. I'm not sure. So Mary's cloak, they felt was protecting them, but it was like oversized. So it was like her cloak is not supposed to fit around a truck. She's like, I don't know, like 5 foot tall or, 100 pounds. I mean, I don't really know how tall or big Mary was, but probably something like along those lines. So this 5 foot tall, 100-pound person, like, opens up her cloak and it covers a truck. And the people are there and they think it's going to be the last moment of their life, and instead they're fine because they're protected by Mary's cloak. Now that's the story. That's Miss Martin's story. Miss Martin's story ends there. I mean, maybe there's more to it. Maybe the guys talk about it the next day and decide that they're going to go to church more. But like, in terms of the action of that story, it basically ends there. Now, what I'm going to add to it is, what do we know about Mary's cloak? Like, that's what I want to mention right now. And I'm actually going to run a Google search. I haven't done this before. By the way, I think I put this pin in. I put this pin in like horizontal and this one in like vertical. So I have to fix this one if I can. It's possible that I'm just going to leave it that way because I can't fix it. But let me get it out. And then I'm going to Google and we're going to look at Mary's cloak because I have a hunch that we're going to see something interesting when we look at it. All right. I got to get that pin out. Okay, I got it out. Now I got to spin it, and I got to put it back in. It doesn't go in that way. So what does that mean? It was right the first time? Huh. So I'm confused now. Okay, this pin... Okay, I think you got to look at it from this angle. If you look at it from this angle, then they look the same. It's kind of tough to get the angle where they look the same, but this is correct. So I actually had it incorrect the first time. So I should be able to redo it. All right, I redid it. All right, before we attach these 3 pieces to the castle, let's run our search and find out about Mary's cloak. So Mary, I think they call her like Virgin Mary. Is that like, I don't know what's the best title. You could say Mary, Mother of God, but like Virgin Mary. I think it's like autofilling like Virgin River, Virgin Margarita, which is a drink, but Virgin Mary. And then if I add statue, there's a reason why I'm adding statue, because I want to get the representations. Yeah, that we can see here. This is what I suspected. So take a look there. We have some of them that are basically monochrome. If you just look at how many are on the screen right now, like 7. So like 4 of them, there's 8 of them on the screen. Like 4 of them are monochrome and 4 of them are color. But there's not a lot of color. There's only her cloak that's colored. And in every statue, it's the same color. It's blue. Now let's scroll through and see if that holds. All right, two more, one monochrome, one blue. Two more, one monochrome, one blue. Two more, both blue. Mary wears a blue cloak. Here's the furthest divergent one, but this one is insane. I mean, her face is like pink in this, but even still, the cloak looks blue. But obviously the color's off in that one. But this one, the cloak looks blue. All right, so blue offers protection, right? So connecting two stories that are not supposed to be connected. So these stories actually have nothing to do with each other. Well, I didn't even tell the second story first yet. So in the first story, all right, let me look at the instructions just so we're doing something. All right, so two 3/16. Let me find two 3/16. So now we're up to 701 pieces. And now I got to find the 3/16. So in the story, the soldiers were protected by Mary's cloak in like sort of a magical way. And then when we Googled Mary, we saw that she's wearing, her cloak is blue. In fact, it's not just blue, it's sort of sky blue. And I think to some people, I mean, we can look up articles of why she wears blue, but like some people will say it's kind of like because the sky is blue, almost like a Mother Nature type of thing. Like, I know that that's like paganism to describe Mary as being like Mother Nature, but there are stories about like religious icons coming from building off of prior ones. So that's not so much with the story of Mary or Jesus or whoever, but more like the visual representation. Meaning like they already have a festival on December 25th, so I guess that was Jesus' birthday. Like they already have a statue of a lady with a blue cloak, so I guess that was Mary. You know, that type of thing. And again, I'm not saying that's true, but that's sort of like one thing that people say, but that's not where I'm going with this story. Where I'm going with this story, and again, I'm not claiming these are related. I'm just saying blue cloak of protection. So she's got a blue cloak, and Miss Martin told me a story that it protected her. So yesterday, probably Nick, you probably weren't here, but yesterday or 2 days ago, I was talking about at my work grabbing an apple and going out onto the porch because they have a balcony at my new building. And the balcony has like a hanging garden, and the balcony like wraps around like imagine this is the tower of my work. The balcony wraps around, like each floor has a balcony, and they're staggered and they wrap around, and then each balcony has a garden. And then right before you go out on the balcony, you can take free fruit. There's like a banana, apple, and an orange. So I go out and I grab the orange and I eat it on the balcony, and then I have this weird feeling that I'm eating an apple in a garden, and the garden wraps around the building the way a snake wraps around a tree. And I'm thinking, like, is this not exactly like the story of like Genesis, like the very first story in the Bible? Like, why? Like, why does this coincidence happen? But, you know, it sort of establishes this concept that you could have heard stuff when you were 4 years old and then experience it when you're 50 years old. So this is where I'm going with this. And again, I know that it's not true. I know that it's just coincidence, but here's the story. They had last week in Maui, or maybe it was like a month ago at this point, they had all these fires in Maui. And the story officially is that there's like wildfires. And the wildfires spread via the wind. It was very windy, and there was wildfires and everything burned. But some other and it was actually in the news today, so I'm not like totally on my own. Actually, I'm not sure if it was in the news or it was just in a YouTube video, but someone was talking about directed energy weapons from satellites in China. So, directed energy weapon, there's another video you can find where a directed energy weapon, the person will burn a bunch of stuff with a directed energy weapon, like a small one, like one they use at a mechanic shop or something. And they'll burn like a yellow rag, a red rag, a orange rag, a pink rag, all these different colors, and then the blue one doesn't burn. And the blue one is like the same color of this cloak that Mary's wearing. And in the statues and in the story of these people in the war who thought they were protected by Mary, she put the cloak over them. So if you look at some of the post-Maui footage, you'll see a lot of scenes where things didn't burn. Like there was a car that didn't burn, and it was a blue car. There was umbrellas that didn't burn, and they were blue umbrellas. And people are saying, well, if it was a directed energy weapon, then it wouldn't have burned those blue cars. Nick, don't repeat any of this at college. You'll like fail out. But anyway. Oh, okay. There's only one person, so Nick's not even listening to this anymore. All right. So that's the whole story. I'm combining two stories. So my teacher, Miss Martin, told me about these people who were protected by Mary's cloak, and then a month ago, or recently, no, a month ago there was a fire, and like today, people posted videos on the internet saying if Maui was attacked by a Chinese directed energy weapon, it wouldn't have burned things that were blue, and evidence shows that. And I'm saying those two things could be connected over a span of 50 years, or even longer span of time, like when was the Vietnam War. So that's like that's my story of the day. So maybe next time I'll tell a story from my grandfather, but as I remember these Miss Martin stories, I'm going to tell them, because I don't know if she knew anything or not. But these are the people, like if I try to remember them, I feel like I'm getting somewhere. I feel like there are a lot of teachers who teach you stuff, but for some reason when I think through the stuff that Miss Martin taught, it seems to still be relevant currently. Well, I guess what the other teachers taught is relevant too. I mean, if they taught like math and science and history, that stuff's obviously relevant. But I guess more entertainment value. By the way, look what we're about to build next here. This is like a heavily inked piece. What is even going on here? Is that like two different colored dragons fighting? Like a white and a red dragon? Because that would make perfect sense for what we were talking about now, and what we've talked about on a few different episodes now. It's like you can't have up without a down. And I'm not saying you can't have a red dragon without a white dragon, but you can't have the concept of colors without a multitude of colors. Anyway, that heavily inked piece is $339. The piece in front of it that looks like a frame is $351. And then the two pieces in front of that, two 352s, which are going to hook everything together. So that's 4 pieces. So we're going to be up to 705 pieces now. All right. So we got to find those pieces. 339, 351, 352. All right. I'm just looking for those pieces. I feel like I should be able to easily... Well, here's 352 on the... Oh, there it is. I knew this piece would be easy to find. So let's just admire it for a second, this heavily inked piece here. Is that two dragons fighting? Or is that a dragon and a griffin? Is that a two-headed griffin? So it's like a red dragon versus a two-headed, and I'm going to call it a golden griffin because it's in sunlight here. There's rays here. There's a circular object here. I'm going to call that sun. I'll tell you, if you look at this again, it kind of looks like a TV. You see the frame 351, it kind of looks like a TV. And then if we look back at this piece here, it looks like a red dragon fighting a golden griffin. And I'm going to say that the griffin is in an offensive position and the dragon is in a defensive position. And here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to now make a prediction, which is a painful prediction because I watch MAC basketball and I root for Siena and I want Siena to win. But sometimes I see things and then sporting events happen. These are called coincidences. But I remember seeing a movie about with Gary Coleman in it where he would see things and then people would play sport bets based on what he saw. So anyway, the Golden Griffin, there's literally a MAC team called that. I'm not sure what team it is. I think it's maybe Canisius. But anyway, there's definitely a team that's called the Golden Griffins. And then there's another team that's called the Red Foxes. I'm not sure if this red dragon qualifies as a red fox. But if it definitely, what we're about to build here looks like a TV. So it's like a TV showing a golden griffin attacking a red fox. So that would tell me that in the MAC final, Canisius beats Marist. But that seems crazy to me because Iona usually wins the MAC every year. There was a time when Siena was the best team, but lately it's Iona. Hopefully Siena gets back. Anyway, 351 and 352, they're both right here. So we're going to snap this all together. And this is a cool piece regardless. I know I'm talking a lot of nonsense, but this is a nonsense show. I put puzzles together and I talk nonsense. The important thing is to not believe the nonsense. Like, you can talk it all you want as long as you don't believe it. But I don't know. Some people, they get mad if you even just say it. Do you know any people like that? They like get mad if you just like say something. There's actually a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people who don't care, and I think those people are in the majority. But there's a lot of people who do care. It's like you say the Lakers are a good basketball team, and they're going to tell you the Lakers suck. You know, they're just ready for an argument at the drop of the hat. You know, there's like, they want, it's not that they want an argument, but they just, I don't know, maybe they can't help themselves. Maybe they do want an argument. But yeah, there's a lot of people who like won't let you get away with saying something that's probably nonsense. You know, the story I told tonight is probably nonsense. The second observation I made about this little dragon and griffin is probably nonsense, but you know, I'll tell you what, Siena has a player named Griffin, and his name is Killian Griffin. So it's not necessarily a reference to Canisius here. The Griffin could be a reference to a Siena player. But who would be the player who looks like the red? I'll tell you what, we can actually go that route because we were saying the red dragon represented the red fox, and that's kind of a stupid thing to say. Maybe the griffin is the player named Griffin and this red dragon. I'm not sure what player that would be, but you know, maybe it's a, and the fact that I'm even saying that it's a reference is insane because it's just a coincidence. But in coincidence theory, you know, there's a theory about coincidences, and the theory is that there are no coincidences. So this would be the belief in a conscious universe, or a belief in God, or a belief in an AI-controlled matrix. It just basically means that you don't believe coincidences are coincidences. But even people who don't believe coincidences are coincidences, they'll still believe some coincidences are coincidences because, it just has to be. Like, that looks really good. I don't know what this piece is, but it's fancy. I like it. It looks cool. Got a lot of pins. It's going to do something. All right, so we did that. Next up, in the middle here, we're going to connect this piece to two 315s, and then we're going to snap two 331s on top. So we're adding 4 more pieces. So now we're up to 709 pieces. All right, so those 315s, we were just dealing with them, right? They were, I don't know what board they were on, but yeah, here they are. They're on this board. So when we got the 316s, we saw the 315s. They were right here. 315 it is. So let's grab those two 315s. And now the 331, I gotta look for that. Probably on the other board, the second board. Seems like we've just been using 2 boards tonight. There's a key. Okay, there's going to be 3 boards on this page, 9, 10, and 7. It looks like board 10. Looks like the 331s are on board 10, which is not the board I'm holding. It's probably the board I just put down, so we'll go back to that in a second. Okay. So 331. Yep, I see them already. 331 is right here. By the way, my wrist has a weird feeling. I think I just got stabbed with a splinter. I already have like 2 splinter wounds. I think this board is full of splinters, so I've been complimenting the design of this board, not just like what it builds in the end, but the way it moves you through the construction. I have a lot of compliments on that, but something as simple as laser cutting these boards was not done well. As a result, there's splinters everywhere, which is dangerous. I mean, I'm getting stabbed by splinters. Some people are going to refuse to do this puzzle simply because of the splinters, and they're going to miss out on a great puzzle. And I also don't know if everyone has boards that were cut poorly. Maybe every other copy of this came out good, in which case it's a shame that I got a bad copy. And I think I've seen that before in review programs where, since they're giving it out free, they're like not giving you the best one. But I think you have to understand that some people who are receiving this stuff for review, they're doing what I'm doing, which is they're making YouTube videos. So now you've taken a bad product, one that wasn't cut fully through, giving it away because you figure that you don't want to sell it because you don't want to get it returned. But now the copy being reviewed online is not your best copy, which is not how you would have planned it. I'm just thinking through how the manufacturer, the producer, the seller would feel. Let's just call it seller. All right, so these 2 pieces are going to connect to this piece. So I guess they're going to be like, actually, I'm not sure. Yeah, it has to be the first like 2 holes of each side. So let's just put one. Are these symmetric, first of all? As a symmetric test, we'll put them on top of each other, spin them around. Yeah, I'd say that they're symmetric. They still look, I mean, they're not perfect. They are perfect once I line them up perfect. They didn't look perfect at first because I didn't take the point to line them up. I didn't take the time. Anyway, that was just to say that it goes in these first two pieces and you can't mess up because they're symmetric. You probably could mess up if you really tried, but if you're trying to get it right, you probably will get it right because the piece is symmetric and that makes it easier to get it right. Like, all of the ways you put it on, it'll still be correct. Now, this one is not symmetric. It has small windows at the top and big windows at the bottom. So, the long windows should touch the wood. So, that story I was telling about the two different stories, I think that's, I mean, if there was a magical book, why wouldn't it be the Bible? Like, you might say, well, why would a directed energy weapon look the same as a cloak? Or the protective device to a protective, okay, a cloak that protects against a directed energy weapon. Why would it be in the Bible? Well, if anything could both tell you a story, if anything could tell you a story that was relevant to every generation at once, that would have to be an amazing book. That would have to be a book that people consider beyond a story and into a religion. Well, this is the Bible. This is the Bible. It's the most sold book in the world, the most read book in the world. And if there's a book out there that can perform magic, it's not Harry Potter's book of magic codes, it's the Bible. And I hate to say that because, people have started thinking like, magic is from the devil and God wouldn't dare do magic. He's too good for that. I mean, magic is a definition that man has put onto an action. I'm not saying it's magic. I'm saying people call it magic. I'm saying it's, if anyone could write a book that could speak to all of the generations in human history at once, well then, God could do that, and that book would be the Bible. It wouldn't be some grimoire that some billionaire owns and only he. No, it's a level playing field in terms of what God offers, which is, I don't know if I'm prepared to speak for God, but let's say it's not material. It's not material rewards. It's heavenly rewards. Let's just phrase it like that. So, if there's anyone who could write that book, it would be God. And if there's any book that could be, it would be the Bible. All right, so I pulled out these two 340s and I lined up these two pieces together because that's what the instructions said to do. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to increment the counter so it's now at 711. I mean, we had to come across that number at some point. All right, so I think the way we put this together, it's like kind of like you see here. And then these pieces, they have 4 tabs on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's 4 like holes here. And there's the lines on the tabs, like the whole build. We've been talking about how the lines on the tabs are parallel to the lines on the receivers. But one thing to remember is ink side out. So like this is the inside. The ink should go on the outside. Let's just do one connection at a time. I'm sure we can get this done. All right, so there's the first connection. Should we do the other side or should we connect the two? I think we want to do the other side. But then it means we're going to be making 4 connections at once. But I'm fine with that. I think this is one of the easier situations you would ever have to deal with. So let's do it. Oh yeah, so I was gonna I was gonna use some clumsy language about time travel, like when I was thinking about what I was gonna say tonight. But then when I just was here and ready to talk, all of a sudden I said the Bible is a book that speaks to all the generations at once. And yeah, I think that's a pretty great way of putting it. Like, I don't know who wrote that line. It just like popped into my head. But yeah, so I could have the personal experience of like eating an apple and in a building, or seeing a video about a directed energy weapon and thinking about something my third grade teacher said. Oh, so this is a sentence this is a thought I never completed. Why the third grade teacher? She seemed to be in the know. And why my grandfather? Well, he seemed to give great advice. So those are the people we're gonna retell their stories. Maybe at some point I'll make up my own stories, but I'm not at that point yet. I want to show you the faces on these knights. If I can get the camera to focus a little bit. Yeah. Check out those knights. Are they wearing masks or something? Their hands look normal, but their faces don't. These knights' faces are... I mean, what is going on there? They're just lines. They have the inside of their cloak. Like, look at that. It's like a wizard's sleeve, that cloak. They have bare skin, which is not even what a knight would do. These are not knights. That's not a sword. You know, it's funny. Is that a sword? That might be a sword. Okay. Or it could be something magical, as we were talking about magic, because first of all, the sleeve looks like a wizard's sleeve. They don't have gauntlets. A knight holding a sword would have a gauntlet. This is not a suit of armor. This is a cloak. This is a cloak with a wizard's sleeve. And if you look inside of the wizard's sleeve, you see lines. Now, you can just say that's a texture. But if you look in the hood, you see the same lines, which indicates that you're seeing the inside of the hood. Well, if you look here, you see arms. But if you look here, you see the inside of a hood. What are we looking at here? This thing is headless. But yet the hood doesn't crumple. And there's something on top there. It looks kind of like a pin, but it's inked. What have they inked on top of there? And they made it look exactly like a pin. Is that a pin? No, that's ink. It's like breaking the you know, like they break the fourth wall in movies? Well, you wouldn't think someone could break the fourth wall in a wooden model, but they inked a character to make it look like it was pinned on. This is not pinned on. This is one solid piece. There's pins here. 3D pins. There's no pins on the knights. I don't even know if those are knights. I'm thinking now that they're wizards. I mean, it would match the theme of everything we've been talking about tonight. All right, enough of that. Where does this thing go? We're going to find out tomorrow. I'm John Rapp. This is Just Rest Your Eyes. Good night, and see you tomorrow.